Hi, my name is John Wilhoit, and this is part 3 of the biggest mistakes real estate investors make. The 11th item on our list is rushing to hire property management expertise. And that's something that we talked a little bit about in segment number 2, that you really cannot wait until the day of closing to identify the best company to run your asset. It really is a process. It can take anywhere from 30 to 45 days to accomplish it. So the sooner you can start the process, the better off you are. But waiting until the day of closing to look for property management is really much too late, because the day after closing, someone has to run that property. And that is not the time to start looking for qualified personnel. Item number 12 is not knowing crime statistics. Now, identifying crime statistics does begin with a visit to the local police department, but there's also other authorities within any jurisdiction that can shine light onto what's going on in a particular jurisdiction, on a particular neighborhood, or on a specific street. So we have police department, we have fire and rescue, we have sheriff's departments, and then very often you can go even further from there and talk and look at statistics for the city as a whole, and then FBI statistics. But you're in essence wanting to talk with the beat cop, right? The person that's on that street every day. They know what's going on. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have an opportunity to interact with them prior to purchasing an asset. So it really does require of you to take those steps and to walk into those offices, the police department, the fire department, rescue services, maybe even the local hospital or emergency facilities, just to see what type of activity is occurring within that neighborhood. So it's too easy to just say, oh, I know what's going on. Well, you do know what's going on within your neighborhood to a certain degree, but this is an investment property, and it may or may not be in your neighborhood. And even if you grow up in the city, it doesn't mean that you know what's changed even over the last 12 to 18 months. Neighborhoods change, demographics change, jobs leave cities and they come back. So all those things impact crime statistics. Item number 13 is pretending to know market fundamentals. And there's no way around this. Knowing the market fundamentals is your cornerstone to making a determination on if this is an asset that you want to buy. Does it have legs? Is it going to be strong going into the future? What's the historic perspective, market data, market-driven numbers? Do you know that information? You can't just rely on a report that's provided to you by a single party. You really have to get into the specifics and know that market. Because if you're making, whether it's a $50,000 investment, equity investment into a small deal, or you're acquiring a $5 million asset or a $20 million asset, you need to know who the competitive assets are. What are the what I call the comparable comparatives? What are the other assets that that asset is competing against? And a snapshot provided to you by a third party is very likely not enough to get you where you need to go to have a deep understanding of that market. Number 14 is not performing a competitive market analysis pre-acquisition. So all those things we just talked about in terms of market fundamentals, they all fold into an analysis that tells you what that market looks like before you buy the asset. Because after the fact, you buy it, you bought it, and that's not the time to try to determine if this is a solid, sound market. So gaining that information, again, at any scale, whether it's a single family home, a duplex, a fourplex, or a 240 unit deal, you can't presume that you know the market, and you can't presume that the people bringing you the deal have all the information. Certainly they have some information. Certainly they will provide you with some very good quality information. But that information needs to be folded into your decision-making process along with information, along with data points that you create, that you identify, that come to you from third-party service providers that will round out your knowledge about that market. Because after acquisition is not the time to start market or market analysis or to understand market fundamentals. Item number 15, where we conclude part 3 in our series, is complacency. And complacency often occurs when an asset is working well, meaning everything seems to be going well, the reports are going fine, the cash flow is excellent. So the person that's in charge of managing the manager kind of drops off. They say, well, that's one less thing I have to worry about. But assets do not sleep. They are always on. If there's residents there, it's an operating business. It's like a 7-Eleven, only bigger. It never closes. So being complacent means that you really do have to go and visit the asset periodically. No matter if it's across country or across town, you can't just say, well, it's good because I'm not hearing anything. It's amazing how many things I've found going on property announced yet, letting people know that I'm coming, and still things are in significant disarray. Units that I think should be ready to roll haven't been touched. Simple things such as landscaping that should be in order is in disarray or completely overgrown. It's a small thing, right? But it's a reflection on the property presentation, and it could potentially deter new residents. So becoming complacent is one of the 25 biggest mistakes that buyers make. My name is John Wilhoit, and this is part 3 in our series.